Hello everybody, how are you all doing? Welcome back to Man City Unplugged, your very own Man City fan channel. How are you all guys feeling today after that fantastic night at the Etihad? It was a memorable night at the Etihad. No, the this season there were a couple of memorable nights at the Etihad. The Bayern Munich 3-0. People on the stream called it Manchester. That was just fantastic. Yesterday was just fantastic. It just felt it would be special. There was the aura right from the starting. No, it wasn't an easy game, as much of an easy game as it is being portrayed on the social media, or people telling that Arsenal did not turn up for this. Arsenal just forgot to play the game. Arsenal, I mean, I heard a few Arsenal fans saying that Arsenal were just Arsenal players were just they did not have any energy. They just gave up and all. I mean, one thing is this game against Arsenal was as tough as the game against Bayern Munich, for example. Now, I'm not comparing Arsenal to Bayern Munich here. There's different in so many levels, but in terms of the difficulty of the game, I think it was kind of similar because the approaches were kind of similar as to how both the teams tried to play against City. Arsenal tried to press against City. They tried to press aggressively. And see, one thing about Mikel Arteta which people forget is whatever you might say that his Arsenal defense has been leaky, this, that. But one thing is, Mikel Arteta's press, the pressing structure of Mikel Arteta is like very, very good. It's just fantastic. We've seen with his time at the Pep and under Pep as well at City, the kind of ideas he develops in terms of pressing the opponents and attacking ideas he has. That they're just fantastic. So the pressing structure from Arsenal was very, very good yesterday. It was just outstanding. But the problem was Pep Guardiola's plan was even better than the pressing structure or the plan which Arteta came up with. When I said the pressing structure of Arsenal was outstanding, it was outstanding for the first 4 5 minutes. But in sort of those 4 5 minutes, you could pretty much sense what Mikel Arteta tried to do. For example, let us imagine City played with last season's squad. We didn't have Haaland, we had a false nine, for example, and City tried to play through the press. I don't see this game, City winning this game comfortably 4-1 or 3-0 or even 2-0 by halftime. This game would have been much close. City might have won with last season's approach or the approach before that, but it would not have been as much comfortable. The reason being, City of the last seasons would have tried to play through the press. City of the last seasons would have tried to go toe to toe with Arsenal with the press, and that midfield was so congested yesterday. Thomas Partey, Granit Xhaka, Odegaard, all of them are let us forget about the quality of the press, but all of them, all three of them, especially Shaka and Thomas Partey, they are very aggressive with the press. You don't have any time in the midfield when they are pressing. When Arsenal played United, for example, United found out, okay, there was no Casemiro, but United found out that has been Arsenal's sort of strength this season, the way Arsenal were pressing and stuff. But why Arsenal, I just want to go into this, why Arsenal collapsed. And I just want to take out this myth that yesterday's game was just an easy game and it was just a walk in the park for City and stuff like that. It was difficult. It was just the quality of City. It was how we approached the game that actually made it seem it much more easier than it actually was. When you look at the first 3 4 minutes, what you'll see is congestion in the midfield. The ball was in the midfield. It was congested and stuff like that. I mean, just in the build up to the first goal, if you just look into the build up to the first goal, what you'll notice is Arsenal had their high press on with Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, Gabriel Jesus pressing Ederson, Odegaard pressing his man, Saka and Martinelli pressing wide. Jesus on Ederson. Ederson takes a just a second extra which infuriates Pep and which we'll come back to in a minute. Ederson plays it to John Stones. The press is on John Stones. So Arsenal push up. See, aggressive press, everyone needs to push up, right? So Arsenal push up. And what happens? Everyone was shocked by what happens next. But even Mikel Arteta was shocked. If you just look at the pictures after City scored the first goal, Arteta has his hands on his head. He's talking to his assistant. Partey was shocked. Everyone was shocked. John Stones plays a long ball into Erling Haaland. What Mikel Arteta prepared Arsenal for the entire week. What the entire Arsenal team was drilled with in an entire week in the build up to this game was City will pass through the press. City will pass through the press. You get the ball, you can hit them on the break, just like Liverpool did to us in 2017, 17, 18 Centurion season, for example. Just how we lost numerous games. But no, Stones, I think they underestimated the long range passing of Stones as well. Quite a bit, not as much, but I think they never thought City would just play that long ball. Stones plays the long ball, the entire press of Arsenal is demolished. Everyone is taken out of the game. And what Arsenal do? Arsenal are high up the pitch because everyone is pressing aggressively. Haaland, De Bruyne, goal. After this moment, Arsenal collapsed. And a lot of Arsenal fans are saying you didn't show intent, you didn't show energy. The reason there was Thomas Partey was always being outnumbered because if you notice one facet of yesterday's game, Ruben Diaz, John Stones, whoever the centre backs were on the ball, they were taking a bit more time. They were inviting Arsenal to press, which meant that Odegaard was going to press City's spare centre back because Jesus was pressing another centre back. Odegaard was going, which left Thomas Partey 2v1. Does it track Gundogan? Does it track De Bruyne? He tracks De Bruyne, Gundogan goes and makes a run. He tracks Gundogan, De Bruyne does all of those things. So it was 2v1 and Arsenal were just, the mind went. Their mind went because all of the tactics they discussed in the week was gone. City were playing long balls. When did City become this long ball FC? When did Pep Guardiola start borrowing ideas from Big Sam? It was just hell went. That's what happened to Arsenal yesterday. Swami is here. Hey Swami, how are you doing? He says Winnie versus City defense would be a great game to watch. I hope City win the first leg. The other leg we know what to do. But Swami, this time do you know where is the first leg and where is the second leg? Can you guess where is the first leg and where is the second leg? I think you probably might be in for a surprise if you don't know. But let me see. Can you guess where is the first leg against Real Madrid and where is the second leg against Real Madrid? This is the thing about this tie which I find really fascinating with Real Madrid. So I mean, irrespective of Arsenal just not having that mentality to be in the game and all of that. I actually disagree with that. Okay, I agree with that a little bit of it, but generally I disagree with the fact with what majority of Arsenal fans, especially, and other people saying that Arsenal do not have the mentality, personality, they didn't give a fight and all. I mean, I would actually blame it on Arteta as much as I like Arteta from his time at City and stuff. Actually think it was on the tactics. Arsenal didn't have a plan B. Looking at Arsenal play, it almost reminded me of what we did against Liverpool 2017-18 in our Centurion season in the Champions League. What did we do? We tried to press through Liverpool, and what was Liverpool's midfield then? Wijnaldum, Fabinho, and Henderson. I think it was one of the best midfields in the world at that time in terms of pressing the ball, taking the ball fast, pressing, work rate, and then just putting the strikers one on one. So that was just, I sort of saw that naivety from Arteta, naivety from Arsenal, and with City suddenly what you see is you see that maturity. You suddenly see that City have evolved this season. They've evolved again. The addition of Haaland has truly helped. But generally, I think even when we reached that final against Chelsea, even when we reached the semi final last season, you somehow felt that if City had to get a goal in a hurry, what do you do? There were games last season when we were 2-0 down. I think against Palace at the Etihad last season, 2-0 down, and what did City do? We tried to pass, and it was generally a bit late. But now, if City have to get one goal, City have to get two goals, that they can suddenly switch it on. They can suddenly send a Haaland forward. They can suddenly, pump balls into the box. City not only have plan B, City have a plan C and plan D as well with Julian Alvarez coming through. So, when Pep said after we reached that final against Chelsea, which we played in Portugal. When Pep said City are still not ready for this competition, irrespective of the result, City are not ready to form themselves, to register themselves as the top teams, being there doing that in the Champions League every year. When Pep said that, I was like, this guy should be out of his mind. So but now I realize why Pep said that. This is the team. This is the team. Now, if you ask Pep the question, I think he might not say that directly, but inside his mind, he knows City are much more readier than ever. And now I don't know what will happen in the Champions League this season. What the Premier League title is still not over. It's football. It's a funny old game. Everything is not over till the final whistle, until it is over, and we know it more than the fans of any other club. Swami says Etihad second leg. Damn. Though we owned Anfield, Stamford Bridge, who knows? Maybe next up Etihad. But to be honest, it's going to be the best game of the season. They're actually scared after what you guys are just doing. It's Real Madrid, Swami. It's Real Madrid. First of all, if you guys are scared, I will not sit here and say that City is not scared. Just bring it on. No, of course we are scared. We are scared not because of the current form of Real Madrid or something like that. I mean, I won't even say scared. We respect. We respect Real Madrid in terms of the experience and the mentality which you guys bring into games. Last season when we lost with you, it felt devastated, but after a few days when you just look at it, I think that experience what happened there has helped us this season into overcoming this false start. That experience what we gained last season helped us in many aspects. We were nowhere near the title race in the first half of the season. That experience what we gained last season against you guys has helped us in managing the game out against Bayern Munich, for example. We timed the two legs against Bayern Munich to perfect this thing. So we have learned a lot from what happened against Madrid against you guys last time. So it will be a great pleasure actually playing that game. It will be one of the best games of the season. It will be a clash of I won't say an exact clash of philosophies, but it will be a clash of ideologies, I would say. And I dare say that it could be a clash of philosophies as well, because, with Pep Guardiola this season, there were at least three instances. We go to the Emirates in a bad run of form at the start of February. I think if Arsenal win that, I think the league was pretty much theirs. The confidence it would have given them more than the points. Bad run of form. Pep plays a counter-attacking masterclass and wins that game. We what was that game? Yeah, Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich second leg. We were leading 3-0, but then 3-0 is nothing. 3-3 happened in Istanbul final in 30 minutes. So you knew that Bayern could make it 3-3 and all. They had the history, they had the heritage and everything. And what did we do? We played a counter-attacking masterclass. Yesterday, it was counter-attacking masterclass. I know mixed with a bit of possession play, but it was, what people have not been talking about Pep Guardiola this season is the counter-attacking masterclasses that he has been producing. It was just, when Jose Mourinho was in his prime with Drogba in that Chelsea team and stuff, he used to play this three ball counter attack. Three pass counter attack, four pass counter attack. Real Madrid, BBC, Bale, Benzema, and Cristiano. It was Marcelo, coming out. Real Madrid fans will know that Marcelo coming out with the ball, and Marcelo to Bale, Bale to Ronaldo, Ronaldo to Benzema goal. Those sort of goals were just, that the trademark of great counter-attacking tacticians. Three pass goals, four pass goals. Yesterday, what happened? John Stones, Erling Haaland, De Bruyne, bang, three pass goal. So I think Pep Guardiola has adapted. There was an interesting article in the Independent actually. It said that Pep Guardiola is a modernizer who has taken a lot of things who has learned a lot of things from history and implemented it. This is almost your 4-4-2 what we played yesterday, right from your historical 1950s English sides, right? So Pep Guardiola is taking lessons from the past, and that's what makes him such a great manager. Swami says, do you think PL is over and close to 300 subs? Congrats. Thank you, Swami. Thank you. And the PL race, as a City fan, and having seen the title races which you have been in, especially since the Mancini era, 5 games to go, United were 7 points clear. We go and beat them at the Etihad. I mean, we beat them at the Etihad and we win the title. That Liverpool season, I think 14-15 it was, if I'm not wrong, Gerrard slipped. Liverpool were leading the way and we win it in the last 3-4 games. So I think looking at past title races, you should never say that it's over until mathematically it's over, because football is a funny old game. No, I think it was in the World Cup qualifiers or something 3-4 years back when Sweden manager or someone said that how can the opponent win 6-0, and that's not possible, and they won the game 6-0 and they dumped a side out of the World Cup. So football is such a funny old game. The moment you think that you're bigger than the game, you've won it all, I think it hurts you more than everything. So I don't say the PL title is over. Still, there's a big run in. Everton away is going to be difficult. Brentford away is there. Brighton away is there. There are tough games. There are very tough games, and people actually discount these games. For example, Everton away. Everton are fighting for their bloody lives. It's more fearful to play someone who's fighting for their wages, for their career. In fact, because if a club goes down, they take a 50% reduction in wages. So literally, someone is fighting for their livelihood there. So that's going to be much more difficult. They're going to give every tooth and nail. Likewise, it's going to be difficult for Arsenal as well. So both sides, it's going to be difficult. They have to go to Newcastle away, Brighton home. Nottingham Forest who are fighting for their lives. I think it's Forest away. So they have difficult games as well. So it's not over until it's over. Vinay says, I'm shocked to see Pep playing counter long balls. It was Vinay, Mikel Arteta was shocked. Vinay, you should just see the reaction. The cameraman was excellent. After Stones, if you just look at the first goal, John Stones, Arsenal were pressing high. They thought we'll press John Stones into a mistake. Gabriel Jesus gets the ball, goal. The moment Stones made that pass, the cameraman was super beaten to Mikel Arteta, and Mikel Arteta was, my God, his reaction was like this. What the hell is this? I think this has gone under the radar a bit, but actually I think, like I said before, Emirates, Arsenal away, Arsenal at home, and Bayern Munich at Bayern Munich away were three counter-attacking master classes from Pep Guardiola. It was just excellent. To an extent, Leipzig away, but Leipzig at home. But I wouldn't say that. But generally, these three matches, both the matches against Arsenal and away at Bayern Munich, was just, the way we are using Erling Haaland. And also another thing, I think, Vinay, that other teams have thought Erling Haaland is sort of a flat track bully in terms of, he can just score goals and that's it. But what a lot of people have been surprised by is his quality of, assists. The way Erling Haaland is laying off the ball, the way Erling Haaland is, how many times, I was just wondering about this this morning, how many times have you seen Erling Haaland misplace a pass in the final third? In the midfield congestion, he would have given it away a couple of times generally. But in the final third, when we are on the attack, how many times have you seen Erling Haaland not make that pass, not complete that pass, not play someone through? Never. I have not seen that this season at all. Maybe once, but generally Haaland so perfect on that assist. So Haaland has improved. Haaland has improved in terms of his link-up play, in terms of the way he's occupying those positions in the midfield, the way he's occupying the defenders, the way he's playing De Bruyne through. It's just fantastic. It's just fantastic the way Erling Haaland has come through. Vinay says even back three systems, possession and Pep. It's a love story. It's like Pep got rid of biggest ego. I think Vinay, the biggest ego of Pep always has been. I know he in the past has been rigid in terms of not changing up his systems and stuff. This is a guy who's played Yaya Toure at centre back in a final against Manchester United, which had Tevez, Ronaldo, and Wayne Rooney as their front three, which was devastating, and won the Champions League final. So Pep has been rigid, but I think Pep has, after last season, especially, I think that Real Madrid defeat was an eye opener for Pep Guardiola. He just looked into it, and he has seen, if I don't change, I think Pep had realized that if someone doesn't learn from history, he becomes history in itself. He gets dusted into history. Look at what happened to Jose Mourinho. Refused to learn, and what is Jose Mourinho doing? He's still a good coach, but is not at the level which you generally expect Jose Mourinho to be. So I think Pep has taken a leaf out of that, and also I think in a way the buying of Haaland this season has sort of, I would say, forced Pep a bit into playing this back three system, because otherwise how would you play Erling Haaland here? Because normal 4-3-3, teams will play a low block. Haaland will get found out, like how he was found out in the first 6-7 months of the season, right? First 5-6 months of the season. So I think Pep Guardiola has looked into all of it, and credit to him that he has devised the system. See, we know Pep Guardiola always wanted to play back three, right from when we got Benjamin Mendy, right from the last season of Barcelona, tried to do it at Bayern Munich, didn't have the personnel, tried to do it at City, didn't have the personnel. We never sort of had those wing backs. But I think what Pep Guardiola has thought about this season is, especially in terms of the Champions League, I think he asked himself the question, how do I be more solid? How and the first answer is bring a bit more physicality into the team. Otherwise, these passing structures, real teams like Real Madrid and Bayern Munich are going to destroy you. So I think Pep decided to go with four centre backs, very good 1v1 defenders. See, one of the best things about our defense is the 1v, all of them are excellent 1v1 defenders. Kyle Walker, Manuel Akanji, John Stones, Nathan Ake, Ruben Diaz. What is the common theme between these five people? It's not pace, it's not physicality, it's 1v1 defending. See, yesterday Akanji had Saka in his back pocket, actually, with the way he's defended Kyle Walker. The only one who makes mistakes a bit in 1v1 defending is Aymeric Laporte, and is sitting on the bench. Vinay says line up for big games. Edison, Wakanji. That is beautifully put. Vinay. Edison, Wakanji, Stones, Ruben Diaz, Ake, Gundogan, Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, Grealish, Grealish, Robot, Bernardo. Wow. Vinay says we were all thinking Laporte versus Saka, and Pep comes up with Akanji versus Saka and Walker versus Martinelli. I actually think that it was a master stroke. It was a master stroke, because if Laporte played, Saka would have, I mean, they were even doubling up there on Akanji actually, and if Laporte would have played, I think Saka would always be trying to push him back. Laporte doesn't have the pace and stuff like that, and Manuel Akanji had the pace. So that was fantastic. I think the thinking from Pep here again is superb, and also the way we isolated Zinchenko. It is just superb, right? All of our attacks are coming down the side of Zinchenko. Everyone was like targeting Zinchenko time and again yesterday. It is just superb. All in all, I mean, the fascinating thing about how City played yesterday was, the frightening thing for opponents is, there are teams which, I mean, if you're a football club manager, if you're a rival manager, you would plan against teams who would play counter attack, right? If suppose you're playing against a counter attacking team, I got it right. You would plan in a different way, you set up in a different way. If you're playing against a possession based side, you plan in a different way. But yesterday, what Arsenal realized is City could do whatever they wanted with them. There were moments where, for example, for the first goal, for the third goal, City were keeping the ball, inviting Arsenal to press, and long ball, De Bruyne, Haaland. Otherwise, if City felt that Arsenal were getting on top of them, what did City do? City were keeping the ball, possession, we are masters of keeping the ball. So suddenly you have a team that is playing counter-attacking football as well as a team that is playing possession-based football. Now, how do we defend against such a team? I mean, because the problem here is, when you're playing possession-based football, to get the ball of City, Arsenal need to press high, and once Arsenal engage the high press, boom, Haaland goes. And if Arsenal don't engage the press high, City will pass through Arsenal. Now just tell me, how is Mikel Arteta? how, how should Mikel Arteta solve this? That too on field with the limited amount of experience he's got. How do Arsenal fans, for example, expect Mikel Arteta to solve this problem? Even if Mikel Arteta would have been given 2 weeks off and would have told that City will play this way, City would have won. Because it's very difficult to solve this problem. It's very difficult to solve this problem. I think one of the solutions to the problem is, how do you play against the City team is, you probably sit in a mid block. Maybe you neither commit to the possession nor you give a chance to put those balls behind, but you sort of try to block off those passing lanes, but then again it's difficult. The long ball to Haaland is always on. How do you defend against the robot? How do you defend against his hair was fantastic yesterday? How do you defend against Haaland over there, the Earl of Norway? One long ball and it could be done. So that was the dilemma for Arsenal. So more than what Arsenal fans feel in terms of their team not giving 100%, in terms of, okay, the quality was not there in terms of matchup to City, I agree, but tactically it was outdone. Tactically Arteta was outdone. I think Arsenal fans should accept this. That's they were going in too much on the players and stuff, and I was like a bit surprised. Arteta was outdone here tactically. Every element, Arteta must have analyzed this to death, and and still, he was tactically outdone. The hallmark of a best manager is not when your tactics start working right from the go, then anyone can manage. It's all about when your tactics don't work, how do you change it? Pep Guardiola at the Emirates, what, Arsenal were 7 points, 8 points clear back then. If City lost at the Emirates to Arsenal would go 10 points clear, potentially with City one game in hand, I think. 7 points lead, psychologically the league must have been done. Pep started Bernardo at left back in that match. Not working. Not working. What did Pep do? He changed it. He changed it immediately. Changed it at half time. And then the system started working. So that is the hallmark of a great manager for me. It's not when things are going right, but it's when things are going wrong. How do you handle it? That's when the big leaders come to the fore. That's when your Kevin De Bruyne comes to the core. That's why we say his big game Kev. You just do not say it like that. His big game Kev. Just like in the photo. Look at what Kevin De Bruyne is telling everyone. Enjoyed the performance. This is what you get from Kev, the world beater. Vinay says should secure Ndika. That's actually interesting, Vinay. Ndika, I wanted to ask you a question. Whom do you think we should go for? There are three centre backs that are doing the rounds actually. One is Ndika, one is Bastoni from Inter Milan, who was, by the way, very good in the semi-final Champions League, an Italian defender, and the third one is Guardiola. Ndika is two-footed. He can play out from the back. He can, his footwork is good. His tackling is just spot on. It's just rock. It's just damn. His tackling is very good. Do you play Ndika? Do you buy Ndika? Or what do you do? Do you go for Guardiola? My thing is, will Pep try to replace a player like Laporte with a similar profile? Because one thing is sure, Laporte is going. Laporte just doesn't suit us. Laporte is one of the fan favorites at the club. I remember what he has done last season. Through an injury, he played us and he has won us the title. He is a warrior, Last season, without Laporte, we don't win the title, Last season, played through pain, played through hell, played through rain for the club and did everything. But I think he just doesn't suit the system, sadly, and I think with due respect, I think it would be good for everyone that Laporte actually leaves. It's good for Laporte's career as well as 27, 28 now coming into his prime. But I sort of think if Pep Guardiola thinks, the question is, where would you play Laporte in this system? Back three. Where would you play Laporte in this system? I think the answer is where Nathan Ake is playing, right? And why Laporte doesn't suit the system? Because it doesn't have the pace of Nathan Ake. Because where Nathan Ake is playing, there you're going 1v1 against wingers, so fast-paced wingers. It's an interesting one. Do you go for Guardiola or do you go for Endika? Because both have pace. Bastoni doesn't have pace. I think again you go for Bastoni. I think Bastoni is again right-footed. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this very much rules out Bastoni out of the race. I think you're going either for Endika or Guardiola. Also, that will actually be interesting to see what Pep goes for. Because and another thing about Josko Guardiola is he's 100 million, but whereas Endika, I think his contract is just up in a year or so, and he hasn't signed a new one. I think the same thing with Bastoni. So it will be interesting. My personal choice, if you ask me, it's difficult actually because what does Pep expect out of the left-sided defender next season, for example? Because Pep's demands just keep on changing. And I'll come to Calvin Phillips as well because there's something which is very interesting with regards to Calvin Phillips, respect to how he played there. I I think we're going to go for Guardiola actually. Vinay says people, media, Haaland makes City worse. Instead, makes Pep to change his system, and Pep also thought Haaland can be his Messi. I mean that was just insane right from the start. I think I mean deep down as City fans, you knew when everyone was telling left, right, and center, Haaland will make the City team worse. I mean. Jamie Carragher said Haaland makes the City team worse. What kind of a prat he must be looking like now? So I mean, we were just discussing on this channel, right? When people were telling all of that about Haaland, we were discussing that, and we agreed as well that City are going through transition this season. It's just about finding a system for Haaland. Pep is experimenting, Pep is iterating, and the greatness of Pep and the greatness of Haaland is irrespective of us not finding a system until February, the beginning of March, both Pep Guardiola and Erling Haaland have adjusted themselves and have made sure the team doesn't derail. They make sure that a Nunes like situation doesn't happen like what has happened at Liverpool. The greatness of Pep Guardiola here is people might talk about the strength in depth, the quality, this, that, and all of those things for City. But the greatness is irrespective of not having a plan this season, irrespective of not having a system to play with, irrespective of struggling with finding the connection between De Bruyne and Haaland. How do you play Grealish? And Grealish was struggling as well. If you see at the start of the season when Cancelo was there, so a lot of things. We were in the dump at December and January. We were in the dump actually, and before the World Cup and after the World Cup for a month. We were not there in the title race, even though the table showed we were there. Just kudos to the way everyone managed this. It was just fantastic. Vinay says always had problem with Pep possession based attack. Counter it's obvious, but defense we didn't know defending if our opponent kept ball for long time. Brighton does and can score. Brighton is actually an interesting thing, Vinay. Brighton is very interesting in terms of the way they way they block those counter attacks and stuff. But you remember what happened against Brighton when we played Brighton the first time? I think at the Etihad, De Zerbi pressed high. De Zerbi is a manager who I think is one of the best innovators in the league after Pep Guardiola. De Zerbi played a high press, and what City did then was set back, long ball. Erling Haaland wins the duel against Dunk. I think Dunk is on the ground. Haaland physically handles him. Dunk on the ground. Haaland puts the ball in an empty net. So I actually think Brighton game is going to be interesting, but with the way we are playing, with the way we are ready to sit back, with the way we are ready to absorb pressure, I actually think we are now well equipped with. See, I always thought that one of the best ways to beat the City team is to go toe to toe with us. If you can if you can counter press us, if you can like Liverpool showed, for example, in all of those greater duels in the Champions League, especially like Liverpool showed, like Madrid showed, if you can counter press us, if you can come toe to toe with us, then you have a chance against us. And that was true. That's why Mikel Arteta went for it yesterday. But now with the City, with the robustness at the back, we have four centre backs with Rodri. It's almost like we have five people at the back with Panado. You might as well as count him as another centre back. So with the work rate he offers, so you literally have 5 to 6 people there who just want to defend, who just want to defend the hell out of everything. So I think we are. we have arrived at a stage where I think every year you could compete for the semi-finals of the Champions League. After the semi-finals of the Champions League, it's always a toss. It could depend on a lot of things. We have arrived, I think, on the European stage. This is the solid foundation that we have always needed to arrive. Gautam says, any news about Ake? When is he coming back? I just pray, Gautam. I just pray that Ake might be coming back for the Real Madrid first. Like it's a hammy and hamstring injuries. Pep is not, Pepper City medical staff. No one is releasing any news about it, and I think they would want to keep Madrid guessing. Will Akanji play there or will Nathan Ake play there for the first leg? I can understand that. But I'm just praying that he comes back for the first leg because we need Nathan Ake. Rodrigo against Nathan Ake, Vinicius against Kyle Walker. We absolutely need both of them. Nathan Ake is one of the best 1v1 defenders in European football at the moment, in world football at the moment. I would rate him top two, top three. He's that good, Nathan Ake. Vinay says Ake definitely not available for Madrid. I don't know, Vinay. They say it's touch and go for Madrid first leg. He might come because because the slight news is the damage of the hamstring is not as bad as it was feared. It is not as bad, and they say that Ake can recover in time for Madrid. It's just that Pep doesn't want to give a sure indication of his game plan, so that's why he's keeping it under wraps. But I think it's 60-40. Ake not being fit 60 and being fit for Madrid first leg 40. Gurshan is here. He says, hi, hey Gurshan, how are you doing? Utkar says, who is Ndika? He's a centre back. He's a centre back, Utkarsh. Even I didn't know about him since a couple of weeks ago. Vinay actually told about him, and I just had a look at his videos on YouTube and stuff. And I think even you must check it as well. He's a two-footed defender actually. You rarely get two-footed defenders. He's very good on either feet. His tackles are just like boss tackles. It's very good. He has pace and could be a good signing. And City are tracking as well. 1 2 weeks back there was news about City tracking Endika. I don't remember the team he's is for actually. Gurshan says, in my view, City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal are the most complete teams in Premier League this time. That I mean, if you just base it on this season, I don't quite agree. I think with you, Gurshan, because I think Brighton would come there surely. Brentford would come there, for example. Because of the way Brentford, the way they press, the way they orchestrate their press, their set pieces and all. Brentford are unique in their own way. Brighton must surely come there. I think Brighton deserve to at least win the European places. If not be in the top four, actually, Brighton have been that good. I haven't seen a tactical revolution as much as since Pep Guardiola has came. I haven't seen a tactical revolution as much as what De Zerbi has done. The high press football, it's just energy based, and he's done all that without conceding a lot of goals. When Brighton press high, you see that they block off the counter attack for the opponents, which Arsenal could not do yesterday. So what De Zerbi is doing is absolutely fantastic. When Pep Guardiola leaves, not now, but in 3 4 5 6 years, I want him to stay as long as possible. But whenever he leaves, I think I want De Zerbi actually at City, just due to his tactical, his tactical knowledge, his tactical intelligence, his innovationness and stuff. Uh, Vinay says, and Ndika plays centre back, 6v3 from Frankfurt. Yes, Eintracht Frankfurt. Pacey, good on the ball, free in June. Yes, his contract is also up. Perfect. It was Vinay actually who told me about Ndika first. Gautam says, I think Guardiola is what they'll go for. But Gautam, ah, Guardiola is 100 million, Gautam. Would you spend 100 million on Guardiola? Do you need 100 million on Guardiola? That is the question. Because I think a lot of fans actually, uh, they have the priority for a lot of fans is to bring in a fast pacey winger like a Rafael Leao, for example. They want to spend the money there. I actually think if we are going in for Jude Bellingham, I don't see us spending 100 million on Guardiola, especially when, like Vinay suggested, especially when you have Ndika almost on almost coming to you for free. especially when you have Bastoni over there, who's another prospect who is almost in the last year of his contract, and Inter Milan are open to selling him for some of the financial issues and stuff. You have a Bastoni, you have Endika available. Do you want to pay 100 million for Guardiola? I don't think actually. I don't think that is if you ask me, I don't think that is a wise thing to do. I would not do it. I would want either Endika or Bastoni. Utkar says Liverpool and Chelsea are anything but complete. They need so much work to do. Exactly, exactly. They need so much work to do. Liverpool and Chelsea, and Chelsea. I think Chelsea are lucky that they are not relegated. Chelsea, if Todd Bowley came in from the starting of the season and removed Thomas Tuchel in the first two games, Chelsea would be relegated now. At least Chelsea fans would be having something to be excited about, I think. Yesterday, a few Chelsea fans were telling that Stamford Bridge, no one was there at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea fans are now finding it boring because they'll neither be relegated nor they can fight for Europe or something. I think a relegation, Chelsea would be in the relegation battle if you see their form and you see the fixtures of Chelsea. Chelsea have what? United away, I think United away. They have Arsenal, Arsenal at home. They have City away. I think they have to play Newcastle. I think Chelsea were odds on to be relegated if it was not for Thomas Tuchel's early on points. Gurshin says, come on, you can make two teams roughly easily of Premier League level, ignoring current form. JSK says, Mohan, I've figured out the weakness of Madrid and it's an Argentine, the real owner. JSK, wow. And JSK, all your Edison out thing has worked out really well, I must say. Yesterday was superb in terms of his passing, his goalkeeping, and everything has improved. Just keep on with it. Keep on with the Edison out thing, mate. And I think yesterday, JSK Pep Guardiola was also as much irritated and frustrated by Edison as you. Because if you see after City scored the first goal, everyone was celebrating, but Pep calls Edison aside and Pep just scolds him left, right, and center. He gives him an absolute battering. So I think finally Pep is listening to you, I think. Vinay says, whatever the weakness of Madrid is countered by good luck. I think Vinay, we must actually invite Yaya Toure to come and sit in our stands, I think. Just to lift the curse of the UCL. There's no curse that cannot be lifted by Yaya Toure. And remember this time who took out the Champions League draw? It's Yaya Toure. So if Madrid have the good luck thing, we have Yaya with us. JSK says this time luck will run out with our Argentine. That's true. Julian Alvarez. Utkar says no, even ignoring the current form, the team needs a midfielder and Chelsea needs a good striker. I mean, if you clearly ask me about just a bit about Liverpool, Chelsea, and in that complete team list, I mean, apart from City and Arsenal, I would put teams like Brighton, Brentford, Fulham, and Nottingham Forest is fighting relegation. I can't say Aston Villa. Why we forget Aston Villa? So literally, I think if you want me to make six teams who have really played well, who have really played out of their skins, I would say these six teams. Well, you could say Newcastle, you could say Man United, but I haven't seen an inventiveness from them. What do Newcastle do? All they do is sit back and hit on the break. Well, I must not scold Newcastle because they have a game against Arsenal and I'll be supporting them. But in terms of the freshness and inventiveness, I think Brighton, Villa, Fulham, these are the teams I think who are put alongside City and Arsenal. Vinay says Girona beat them, but Madrid without Benzema and Courtois. And many people, Vinay, were saying after that, if you look at the comments below after that match in social media, people were saying, can we take this as the first leg against Real Madrid 4-1 and bring it back to the Etihad? Because Girona is our sister club. I mean, honestly, just a bit on that Girona. I actually think if we add a bit of defense to that Girona team, I think it can qualify for Europe because the goal scored. I mean, I don't follow Girona as much, but one of the stats was interesting. The goal scored by Girona it's in the top four, top five in the league. It's just they concede a lot as well. Utkar says Mostly could say Arsenal with the first team, their bench is as good as nothing. And in the title race, Utkarsh, you need every ounce of that thing from the bench. But Arsenal have actually, in January, I would say that they have done well in terms of recruiting Trossard. In terms of bringing in Jorginho, I mean, now Arsenal fans can't say. I have heard a few Arsenal fans say that Jorginho is shit. Jorginho is, useless. I mean, where were all these Arsenal fans when they were praising the same Jorginho when he hit that last minute winner against Aston Villa? If you remember, the same Arsenal fans were telling that Jorginho is, he's the final piece of the puzzle we want. We need now, even if Partey is out, we can challenge City. Jorginho, the experience and all of those things. Where are those Arsenal fans now? I think they have strength. I mean, just looking at Arsenal a bit, I think at the start of the season, Arteta, I mean, no one, not even Arteta, would have, even the sound chest of Arsenal supporter uh, would have imagined Arsenal to be competing in March, in April against Man City for the title. So I think when Arsenal found what 7 points, 8 points clear, 10 points clear in early January in the transfer window, I think they were pinching themselves and they just was because for the January transfer window, if suppose you're Man City, you generally know where your season is going to be in January, where your season is going to be in March, where you want to be. You have a fair idea, though it doesn't go as per plan, but you have a fair idea about 60%, 70%. So you're already planning for January recruitment in August, in September. With Arsenal, I think they had to plan on the spot, not getting Mudrik. They had to look for an immediate replacement. Not easy when you're not scouting someone and you're looking for it immediately. Didn't get Casido, had to look at Jorginho. I mean, and I think they would have loved to buy a centre back as well, but it's just that in January you're desperate and everyone's just trying to pull money out of you. Arsenal have not been there in those situations. So I think Arsenal have done everything to improve their bench. But it's just that you look at City and you look at Kevin De Bruyne giving his interview. You look at Pep Guardiola giving his interview pre-match before the game in the lead up to the game. Pep Guardiola and De Bruyne was like, it's just another game. It's just another game. That's it. Pep Guardiola was like, well, if this is a final, what were all of those games we were playing until a month ago? The Leicester game was a final. The game before that was a final. The game before that was a final. All of those games before were final as well. The game against Southampton was a final. The games against Bayern Munich were a final. And you could look at Arteta and the Arsenal players in their interviews. They were treating this as a be all and end all as a game. I actually felt going into this game, Arsenal, right from the first, after the first 4 5 minutes, Arsenal were having that mentality of, we are here, we not to lose, we just cannot lose this. I think Arsenal have gone in with that mentality, we just cannot lose this. And City went in with the mentality of, we trust the process, we give our best. So you look at the difference in attitudes. Arsenal were already thinking about not losing at the Etihad. Arsenal were already thinking about, we just cannot lose our grip on the Premier League title. Whereas City were thinking, trust the process, give our best. I think it's I mean, taking all the technicality, taking all the football, everything away. I think it's this difference in attitude, it's this difference in personality which wins you the titles, which by which you finish on that side of the line or this side of the line. That is what the City team is about. It's beyond all of the talent, all of those things. It's we are mentality monsters. That's what I would say. Gurshin says rough Chelsea 11 Sterling, Oba Howard is front 3, Enzo Kante, Kovacic, James Saloba, Fofana, Aspilicueta, Kepa not good enough, not good enough, Gurshin not good enough probably to fight for even the top 6, I think, with the level of competition in the Premier League right now. Not good enough at all, I think, to be absolutely fair. And that's an old front three. Auba, Howard, Sterling. The problem with that front three is Howard doesn't come back and defend. Auba doesn't come back and defend. Sterling is not a lethal finisher. Howard is not a lethal finisher. It's almost like having three Timo Werners over there. Aubameyang is not just what he used to be. Kante's legs are not there. Uh, Aspilicueta's legs are not there. Kepa is not a good keeper. I, I actually think just having a, I'm not even a Chelsea fan, but just having a rough look at those players, I could immediately point out five, six, seven deficiencies over there. I think that as Chelsea team would actually, I mean, no disrespect to Chelsea and all, every team goes through the transition, but this just feels for Chelsea like more than a transition. This just feels like it's a lot of dead wood, a lot of dead wood. I mean, the problem here is the problem is not having dead wood. Having dead wood is fine when managers change, owners change, dead wood is fine, but it's a lot of dead wood bought in for a lot of expensive money. It's almost like you have thrown a lot of cash and bought in the dead wood. That is where the pain, the anger is for Chelsea fans, I think. And despite all of that money, the spending, you just did not have have a system. And I still think that's, I don't know what Chelsea fans think on this, but I think sacking Graham Potter is a mistake. I've always admired Graham Potter in terms of his technical ability, in terms of creating a system and stuff like that. I think the owners just lost their nerve. They just lost their nerve. I think this is a bit of a difference between what Arsenal did with Arteta and what Chelsea did with Potter. Arteta last season. I mean, generally at Arsenal, if you lose your Arsenal were what 4 games to go. They had an 8 point lead on Spurs and they bottled it. The top four last season. When you bottle a top four as an Arsenal manager, that too to Spurs, you're finished. You're finished. That's all. You might. I don't care who you are. You're finished. And there are a lot of demands. Arteta out, and all the Arsenal owners held their nerve through the summer, and Arteta's turned it around. I think with Graham Potter, Chelsea's owners should have done the same. They just lost their nerve. In leadership, in management, when you're at the top making those decisions, I think you're not paid for all of those technical abilities and stuff. You're paid for holding the nerve. You're paid for taking the pressure. I mean, I know it's the Chelsea owner doing it, and it's ridiculous that the owner pays the owner, but the Chelsea owner lost his nerve. Actually, that's the only thing I would say in sacking Graham Potter. It could not have been much worse, right, than appointing Frank Lampard as an interim manager. Graham Potter would have surely won more games than Frank Lampard right now if Graham Potter was still retained with Chelsea. Vinay says Jorginho slows down pace, which Chelsea are missing. Guy looks simple but has won Euro UCL. I actually think Vinay, we were after Jorginho, right? The I think 2017, roughly that season, or after the Centurion season, I think 17-18 season, we were after Jorginho. And one of the reasons why Pep wanted Jorginho was, they say, especially in Italian football, they say Jorginho is a pass master, which means it's almost, they say he's a junior Pirlo. The way he can just spot passes without even looking at the ball, one touch long passes. That is the speciality of Jorginho. The vision of Jorginho is just superb. I think when you play Jorginho to do a role of Thomas Partey, for example, or to do a role of Granit Xhaka, that is not what Jorginho is. Jorginho, I think if Pep had Pep would put Jorginho in a sort of a Gundogan role, with Rodri doing all of that pressing and stuff, and giving Jorginho the onus to go forward, the onus to find those passes, the onus to put those long balls through. Jorginho can defend, but Jorginho's strength is not defense. Jorginho's strength is making those passes. Gurshan says, I'm an Atletico Madrid fan but love Chelsea. I can see how much you love Chelsea, Gurshan, by the way you're fighting for Chelsea's inclusion there in the top six of the complete teams and stuff. But I honestly think Chelsea need a lot of work to do actually. And the best appointment as the manager, Frank Lampard has to go. If Frank Lampard by any chance stays there for next year as well. I know Pochettino is coming, but if he stays there, I don't know where people can watch Championship, Sky Bet Championship. That's where Chelsea might end up. I know it won't happen. Vinay says Atleti don't want to play them again. Simeone's dark cards in 5-5-0 formation, just crazy. Gurshan, Atletico Madrid. Blood, bruises, and delight. That's what I wrote in my blog last season. Actually, after we defeated Atletico Madrid after the two legs, blood, bruises, and delight. I mean, that was such a tough game. I think it was 1-0. 1-0 was the scoreline. We defended a 1-0, but it was so physically tiring. We had Cancelo suspended, I think, for the Real Madrid leg. Ake injured. I think Walker injured due to that game. That Atletico Madrid game just took the stuffing out of us. Atletico Madrid game can be so demanding physically. But there's a small bit of me that would love to see Erling Haaland against the Atletico Madrid defenders, against your Stefan Savic and all of those Atletico Madrid defenders. That physicality match would just be superb this season. Vinay says the Atletico Madrid game was very physical and lost to Liverpool at the weekend. That was and we lost to Real Madrid in a way due to the Atletico Madrid game as well, Vinay, because it really the Atletico Madrid game washed out half our defense, right? Walker, Ake, Cancelo injured. It was so tiring. Even Laporte sustained a little bit of a small injury. I think he played through pain to the entire season. It's just due to that Atletico Madrid game that we had to put Fernandinho against Vinicius Junior. Can't revisit that at all. Can't revisit that. Nasir says, I don't want to talk about yesterday. Then we are talking a lot about yesterday, Nasir. You can listen. Utkar says, bro, did you hear about company to Chelsea? Um, Actually, there were news that Chelsea had a short list of four or three managers: Pochettino, Company, Nagelsmann, and there was one more name. The name was not revealed because the manager didn't want to be revealed publicly before everything is confirmed. But I bet it was Luis Enrique because they were telling that manager is a Spanish manager with a lot of heritage and a lot of experience. Has to be Luis Enrique. The four things. I actually thought it would be naive on Chelsea's board to appoint Vincent Kompany because what do you think is the difference between Graham Potter and Vincent Kompany, right? And in a way, Graham Potter is more experienced than Vincent Kompany. Potter has been in the Premier League for 1, 2 years, 3 years. Graham Potter is tactically more astute than Vincent Kompany. Okay, one thing you could say that Vincent Kompany, he could enforce the discipline at Chelsea and stuff, but I think Vincent Kompany still has to learn more tactically before jumping into a big job. He's not ready for the big job yet. And when I saw that Vincent Kompany thing, I just prayed. My first reaction is, Vinny, don't go there, Vinny. Vinny, please don't go there because we as City fans love Vincent Kompany for everything he did. He literally won us two league titles, right? Manchester United 2011-12 season. We were 7 points behind. I think he scored a header and we won the title there against QPR, and then the Leicester goal. Who will forget the Leicester goal? I thought just don't do the same mistake as a Frank Lampard did, as a Steven Gerrard did. Just I think Vincent Kompany needs to manage more at Burnley, and then I think if you want to manage at the top level, if you want to manage a top club, I actually think what you need to do is you need to gain some experience, and then I think you need to be an assistant to a good manager. I think just like Mikel Arteta did, for example, and then take the and take the reins of a big club. Because first thing is when you manage other Premier League clubs, just like he's doing with Burnley, you learn that experience, the tactical knowledge. And then when you work under a manager like Pep, it could be anyone, Pep, Klopp, whoever big managers, Ancelotti. You learn how to you learn how to manage the egos in the dressing room. You learn how to manage the personalities in the dressing room. I think one aspect of football management which is way underrated is managing those personalities, managing players. Graham Potter was not tactically rubbish. Graham Potter was unable to manage those egos. He was unable to keep everyone happy in the dressing room. That's the reason. That's the reason why he was sacked. So no Vincent Kompany. Nagelsmann as well. I'm surprised that Nagelsmann was linked with Chelsea, and I was like, why are the Chelsea owners doing the same mistake again? Graham Potter, Nagelsmann. It's not the tactically astute ones who are going to help you out of the mess. The managers who are going to help you out of the mess are those who have the experience of managing a big club before, who can put the rule of law. Just imagine a Jose Mourinho goes there, player power. I know Chelsea have sacked him in the past and Abramovich, but he could have just put the fires out there fast. So you need a Luis Enrique, a Jose Mourinho. I, when Pochettino, I don't know how good of an assignment Pochettino is. But if you're bringing in Pochettino to just stabilize the club in the short term, then I actually think that it's fine, because Pochettino winning trophies, I might be wrong, but it's not a it's not a given actually. Vinay says Chelsea wanted yes manager Enrique or Nagelsmann as a man didn't want any intervention. That is true. That is true. Maybe I think that is true. But again, if the owner wants to do everything, then I actually think that Chelsea is bound to doom, because the owner might as well manage them. I think what the owner has to do is the owner has to actually delegate responsibilities to team manage, director of football and all of those things. The owner just can't keep on playing football manager because he has the cash and the money. Suman says slowly City Unplugged became Chelsea Unplugged in this in this video. I mean, it's just astounding. Like Raheem Sterling went there and and now I think what would Raheem Sterling be feeling? Looking at that, what would Raheem Sterling be thinking? Looking at what Chelsea is doing, but it's always good to have a bit of discussion about, especially involving City personnel. Vincent Kompany is there, Raheem Sterling there, and it's just fantastic. By the way, it wasn't an easy victory, guys, against Arsenal yesterday. It was tough, but we made it. But I still don't think actually that the league is over. I'm not one of those fans, and I know that all of you would agree with me that having seen City fight through a lot of these titles, we thought it was not over when we drew with Nottingham Forest, and Arsenal were what 8 points ahead, and some of the Arsenal fans were telling, "Bring out the champagne. Gary Neville is wrong. City will drop off. Arsenal will go and get the title." Still, we were like, it is still in our hands. What we have to do is win, win, win. Just get into our juggernaut. Even now, when we are almost 2 points, 2 games to go, we have got that margin of safety as well. Now we are still like it's over only until it's over. But we have got a huge advantage psychologically, especially more than anything else, beating Arsenal home and away. When Liverpool competed against us for all of those titles, if you just look at it, Liverpool, I think all of them were draws. Last season, for example, no one beat anyone literally. I think we drew 2-2 at the Etihad. I think it was 1-1 at Anfield or something like that. No one beat anyone, and that's why the title races were close. In a close title race, if you want to stick with someone like City, for example, till the end, you can't lose to them. It can be a draw, but you can't lose to them. The psychological thing for Arsenal here is we went to the Emirates, defeated them. At the Etihad, we defeated them not once but twice. So three games this season, 3 games we defeated them. So psychologically, how are you in that dressing room going to accept that as an Arsenal team? How are you going to accept that we can still win the title and we are better than them when they've defeated you 3 times in a season? That is going to be a biggest barrier for Mikel Arteta. That is what Mikel Arteta has to instill. And I think again it depends on how Mikel Arteta looks at it. Does he look at it as a learning opportunity, or does he look at it, damn, everything's over? So again, a fantastic performance from City, and psychologically it's a big blow. I'll be interested to see how Arsenal recover from it. Blue Shark, perfect Vinay, perfect. The Blue Shark. I think it was a month ago that we a few City fans were trending it. We were trending it that the Blue Shark has smelled blood now, especially after the Leipzig game. I think we were like, the Blue Shark has smelled blood now, and the Blue Shark is coming to hunt you. And this is what happens when the Blue Shark gets a move on. Utkarsh says Arsenal is really going to be good. They need some good backup players. I'm I mean, again, Utkarsh, it actually brings it actually brings to you the question that next season Liverpool will be stronger. Next season Chelsea will be stronger. I mean, I hope so. Next season United will definitely be stronger. Next season Spurs, if they appoint Nagelsmann, they will be stronger. So literally you have four teams who will be much more stronger this season, and City will of course be there. So five teams. So now Arsenal, what are I mean, how are they going to recruit? Because all of these other four clubs also in the market will sort of be. Arsenal don't have any secret players to buy, right? All of these four clubs also will be competing for those players relatively as well. So the challenge for Arsenal will be in the recruiting department, and the challenge for Arteta again will be, first thing is to recover from the title blow, especially when you're a young squad. It's just the emotion that runs through you, and once you don't achieve the winner, you're like, next season how do you pick yourselves up again? That Liverpool squad, I know, 18-19 season, they lost to us by 1 point, and they won the next season. But that squad was different. That squad had Mane, Salah, Firmino, who were 28, 29, who were in their absolute prime. They had Van Dijk, who was in his absolute prime. But this team is not like that. So that is a thing. And also another thing, how are you going to reinvent yourself if you're going to compete for the title next season? Because all of the teams who've seen you play, all of the teams are like, okay, Arsenal will play possession based football, this and this. Will sit back and hit you on the break. So, what did Liverpool do? Sit back and hit on the break. What did West Ham do? Sit back and hit on the break. What did Southampton do? Sit back and hit on the break. So all the teams will start to do that. So do you have a plan B? Is Gabriel Jesus a sort of that striker who can, for example, be cater to that plan B? Of course not, I think. So a lot of questions for Arsenal, because every season you become good, the next season your opponents will analyze you more. So that's why they say winning a Premier League title one season is, it's a hard task, but retaining it is much more harder. Doing it again is even more harder. That's why a three-peat of the Premier League title has just been done only once in the entire history of the Premier League. So challenges for Arsenal will be there, both in the recruitment, in terms of the opponents figuring out the style of play, motivating the players. I think Mikel Arteta, people think, Arsenal fans think he can just build on this season and all, but then they're ignoring a lot of variables in there. Football is never a straight path. You play well this season, build on it, and then go. Antonio Conte, Chelsea 2016 season, three at the back end. It looked like that was the system. He had found a cheat code to beat all of the football systems. What happened? Mauricio Pochettino January figured out how to play against that system. Everyone did that. Conte sacked next season. So football is such a funny old game that you think you're at the top of the game, and suddenly the game puts you at the right place. So Arteta has to be inventive, because opponents will get better. Opponents will get inventive as well. Utkarsh says CTID, Utkarsh. When I says, do we need Jude if Rice plays without Rodri? Linked Gabri Viega guy whose agent is Pep brother. I don't know. I actually think Jude. I mean, the thing here is who is gonna go? Who is gonna go is actually the big question here. Ikai Gundogan it looks like. I mean, there's no clarity in the talks. Reports are coming. Ikai Gundogan might be off to Barcelona, but we know the Spanish press is so shit. So, but Gundogan's agent has come out and said nothing has been decided. I still feel Gundogan has at least 1-2 years to offer to us. I mean, does Bernardo go? I don't think he leaves after this season. It depends on who leaves actually. But I think if Gundogan leaves, I think we are gonna get Kovacic. I think because we have been linked to Kovacic. Kovacic, if I'm not wrong, is in one of the last years of his contract. He's in the last year of his contract, I think. Pep is always interested in him. His press resistant Kovacic, his passing range is good. Chelsea haven't used him in an attacking manner, so I can't comment on that. But I think Pep is high on Kovacic. I think he'll go for Kovacic, and I think he'll go for Jude Bellingham there actually. Jude Bellingham, because I think Jude Bellingham, because again I think it's It's Pep's shift from small midfielders to inducing physicality in the team. Primarily, Rodri, Jude Bellingham. Look at the defense back there. Four tall centre backs. You have Rodri, Jude Bellingham, Earl of Norway up front. Suddenly, you can see a lot of physicality coming in. And one of the things about Jude Bellingham is there was an interesting stat actually about Jude Bellingham that he has the highest amount of in the Bundesliga he's second in terms of the successful take-ons in the entire Bundesliga. So I actually think that is so I actually think Pep will look at Jude Bellingham as someone who can play through the press. But again, I don't know Madrid. Do we compete with Madrid and shell out 100 million for Jude Bellingham? I don't know. Utkar says they have got Champions League football might work as a pull for players. Newcastle United is there too. Vinay says 120 million on single player isn't wise. Where are we in the hunt for winger, fullback, midfield? That is the thing, Vinay. That is actually the thing. That is actually the thing. Because we need to buy in a left back position, we need to buy in a winger position, maybe Rafael Leao. I actually think McAllister might not be such a bad option. Actually, he's not a downgrade on Jude Bellingham for sure. He's played very well in Argentina and stuff. So Alexis McAllister is actually will be an interesting option. Utkar says Rice is basically not cheap at all. I don't think we go near Rice, Jude Bellingham and all. I think if you personally ask me, sign Rafinha, sign Alexis McAllister, sign a left back, sign Endika or Bastoni, and off you go for the next season. Probably Gundo leaves, though I don't want him to leave, but it will be interesting. I think there'll be a lot of developments. Vinay says Rice is between 60 to 70 million and is in the final year of his contract. But I think there'll be competition for Rice, and I also think we are actually forgetting about Jude Bellingham. Sorry, not Jude Bellingham. We are forgetting about Calvin Phillips actually, because Calvin Phillips will get better next season. So suddenly, if you're buying Rice, then where do you play Calvin Phillips? That is the big question. Where do you actually play Calvin Phillips? And we know that players become better under Pep in the second season. Yeah, players become better under Pep in the second season. So, and also another thing about Calvin Phillips is if we are playing the system, long balls, for example, I mean, I'm sorry, I just got lost somewhere. But if you are playing these long balls like we did yesterday, Calvin Phillips is called Yorkshire Perlo, for example, and is not called that without a reason. I mean, I know he's been shit. I know against Leicester, Calvin Phillips has given away at least one goal and he's almost considered second from a 3-0. It could have been 3-3. All of us on this channel as well, we were just astounded by that. But I actually think the passing range of Calvin Phillips is very good. It's better than Jorginho's, if I might say that. If you look at the past videos from his time at Leeds and something, he's just not called Yorkshire Perlo for nothing. I mean, if Pep can get Calvin Phillips running just like he's got Grealish, that would actually be very interesting, because suddenly you have Calvin Phillips who could do the John Stones role. So suddenly Calvin Phillips could switch between that centre back and midfield role alongside Rodri. Or you could even play Calvin Phillips in a Gundogan role. He could dictate play from deep. His pressing is very good. His energy is very good. So I think when we are looking at players like Rice, players like those sort of players, I think we must remember that we have Calvin Phillips as well in our squad, and we have bought him for not cheap, for around 50-60 million, and he can play those long balls too. And Calvin Phillips is pressure assistant, though people will laugh at me this season if I say that he's been shit. Calvin Phillips has handled that entire Leeds midfield on his own. Calvin Phillips is more dynamic than Rodri in terms of moving around the pitch and all. So I'm not saying Phillips is better than Rodri. Rodri is the best CDM in the world right now. Period. No questions about that. But I think Pep has brought in Calvin Phillips as a replacement for Fernandinho in terms of the dynamism and stuff. So will be interesting what Calvin Phillips positions next season. Be interesting what Maxima Paron will do next season, because we have him as well, who is said to be pressure assistant, who is said to Be like a Frankie De Jong, for example, his play style and things like that. So I think this transfer window is not going to be straightforward. I mean, I won't be even surprised if Pep Guardiola doesn't buy a winger because, suddenly with this system, do you actually need a fast pacey winger? I don't know. I know this season we struggled a bit against the low block, but I think one of the key attributes of the system is to have players who have that pause actually, who can pause play, who can control the tempo of the game. And with the fast pacey winger, what is happening is what happened against Newcastle, for example, 3-3 draw. What happened? It became an end-to-end game after we scored the first goal because Foden did not have the tools to control the tempo of the game. In Pep's words, he did not have the pause to control the tempo, to know when to stop and when to start. So Pep has moved away from the fast-paced wingers to wingers who can control the game. Grealish, Mahrez, your Bernardo Silva. So I won't be surprised if you call Palmer in a way. I won't be surprised if Pep Guardiola is looking for those sort of wingers next season. I won't be surprised if you're going for Quadcilia, but that is long shot. We are not dealing with Napoli anyway. Vinay says Moyes was interested in Phillips. They can swap plus 40 million. Now, this might be a bit controversial, Vinay, but I actually think Phillips has a better passing range than Declan Rice. Phillips has a better passing range than Declan Rice, and I don't think Declan Rice can hold the midfield on his own like a Calvin Phillips has done. For Leeds under Bielsa against Liverpool in their prime, Calvin Phillips held the entire midfield on his own for Leeds. So Declan Rice can't do that. Declan Rice always, when you see for West Ham, he plays alongside Soucek, I think, who's a much more defensive minded midfielder. And the passing range of Declan Rice or Calvin Phillips, I think the diagonals of Calvin Phillips, the passing range of Calvin Phillips is much better. I know with Declan Rice, it would be perfect in terms of he could replicate the John Stones role, right? Because he's played through the centre back coming through that West Ham system, playing a centre back and in the midfielder he could switch in the system which we are playing. But in terms of the passing range, in terms of where Pep is going, in terms of the attack mindedness, and in terms of Pep's key philosophy, which has not changed irrespective of the change in system. Like we defend in order to attack. We don't defend to keep the ball and do things. We defend in order to create an attack. We build up at the back in order to create an attack. I think Pep is going in with that mentality, and I think I would prefer Calvin Phillips over Declan Rice for sure. Utkar says with the season he had, I don't think anyone is coming for Phillips. But again, Utkar, if I would tell you last season, I think not just you, everyone, including me, I was blaming Jack Grealish a lot. I was blaming Jack Grealish here for the defeat against Real Madrid, actually. So, in the Champions League. So, I think last season you could well have just replaced the name of Phillips with Grealish, and we would be selling the same thing, telling the same thing with Grealish, right? Why is 100 million players, sell him and all of these? Even I have told that it's not. Most of the fans would have told that. So I think looking at what has happened with Jack Grealish, looking at what has happened with Rodri in his first season. Rodri in his first season was shite. Okay, not Calvin Phillips level, but he was not at Fernandino's level. Just looking at example of Grealish last season, I think we need to give Calvin Phillips one more season to look at to see how he comes through. If next season as well, by the end of next season, we're having the same debate, then probably you could sell him. Then probably you could say he has not worked. But when was the last time you saw Pep Guardiola bring in a midfielder and he has not worked? It's difficult, right? Because Pep himself has played as a CDM in the dream team under Cruyff. When Pep would have been, analyzing the scouting reports of Calvin Phillips, he would have seen some key things, right? And he would have surely known Phillips can fit into the system. So I just trust Pep Guardiola. That's all. Vinay says, I was bid in favor of Enzo and we have good relations with Benfica. Vinay, Enzo was offered to us. We scouted Enzo Fernandez. I think it was last season when we were getting Julian Alvarez actually. Benfica actually, not Benfica as well, River Plate actually offered us a deal. Alvarez plus Enzo Fernandez for 30-40 million pounds, and City did all the hard work to detach both the players and just get in Julian Alvarez. But then again, it's difficult because would a player like Enzo Fernandez prefer sitting on the bench so much? I don't know. And the system we were playing back then when we were scouting Alvarez and Enzo Fernandez was different than the system we are playing right now. So I know hindsight it would look better bringing in Enzo Fernandez now, looking at the price tag and stuff is gone for. But I don't think Enzo. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Pep felt that he did not need Enzo Fernandez at that time. That's why he didn't actually go. I don't know why we didn't go for Enzo. Utkar says Enzo was really good, wasted at Chelsea. He was basically like Fernandinho controlling midfield. We will never know, Utkar, why Pep went for Calvin Phillips in the summer and he didn't go for Enzo Fernandez in the January transfer window when we signed Julian Alvarez. We will not know those little details as to why when Pep went in the favor of Calvin Phillips over Matthews Nunes, over Enzo Fernandez, and over another midfielder as well. I just can't remember his name. So there must be some tactical details over there. Just don't know. Vinay says Laporte gone for sure, but who'll buy him? Atletico Madrid links are coming, Vinay. Atletico Madrid are interested in Laporte. I think they will be buyers. There'll be buyers for Laporte. I think 27. What he's still one of the best defenders in the Premier League. Surely in the top six actually. He just doesn't fit in our system because in our system two wide centre backs, back three need to have pace, and basically you can't put Diaz in place of Laporte, right? It's either Diaz or Laporte who's playing. So he's still a very good centre back. His aerial duels, his ball playing ability, his diagonal passing, everything is just fantastic. It's just a shame that he doesn't fit into our system. Would always love Laporte again, like I said, for everything playing through injury and everything he did for us last season. Utkarsh says, when is his contract ending? I think he has a while, Utkarsh. I think at least 2 years. I think I'm a Laporte for his contract to end. So, but I think with City it's never a problem. Contract ending and stuff. If the player is unhappy, we're not like Tottenham or Daniel Levy. When a player is unhappy, I actually think. City let the player go. Doesn't matter how long the contract is and stuff. And that's again a master class in football management. Just letting unhappy players leave. Joe Cancelo left, and look at what has happened. It freed Grealish. That was again a master stroke from Pep Guardiola. Again, thank you guys for joining me. It's been a fantastic show. Thank you for all those questions. It's been a wonderful discussion there, and just enjoy the victory again. I'm still enjoying it. I'm still enjoying it. Wow. I'll go back again and I'll watch the entire replay of the match. Maybe I just, it's just been superb that victory again and again. Wonderful discussion today. Thank you to everyone for joining me and have a good night, guys, and take care. Utkarsh says, please also make short form content. I'll do it. I'll do it, Utkarsh. I'll do 10-minute content, 12-minute content. I'll try to do the match previews, lineup prediction, content like this, so that, like that as well, so that short form content. And yeah, I'll actually do it. Thank you for the suggestion. Yeah, I'll do it. Anyway, guys, take care and see you all.